Hello and welcome to all my knowledge partners. Welcome to my YouTube channel PharMaven. Today I will be discussing on the topic called risk assessment. Why risk assessment is important in pharmaceutical industry? Why it is so much of the talked subject? I will be touching on the most important aspect of the need of the risk assessment. In my subsequent videos I will talk about what are the various tools, but in this specific video I will be talking about why we need risk assessment as a process within the pharmaceutical industry, within the manufacturing industry. So let's begin with this thought that why we need risk assessment. We are conducting many processes in the industry, manufacturing industry, pharma manufacturing industry, starting from receipt of the raw material, sampling, testing, storage, release. When we talk about manufacturing process, it is about verifying the materials, having a process, having necessary equipment, having trained manpower. When we talk of packing, the same process, we need to have materials for packing activity, we need to have trained manpower for the activity. So these all procedures are there. Then what is the need of the risk assessment? Why we need a risk assessment? So risk assessment is practically a process or a thought, I will say, to determine that what can be wrong with the system, what can go wrong with the system, what are the factors which can make a problem with the product, problem with the processes, or can make a problem with the people who are working within the system. So risk assessment gives you a detailed thought process, I will say, so that it induces a thinking within the minds of the people who are working within the system, so that we can identify that where we can as a process fail. So in the industry we don't want to make a product which is failing, we don't want to test a product which is not, the test method is not appropriate, we don't want to dispatch a medicine which is practically not suitable for the human health. So risk assessment as a tool helps us how we can prevent failure. So this is the basic thought behind having a risk assessment process within the system, and how we can do it. So coming to the processes part, you take a specific process and debate on that process. What are the chances that a thing can go wrong in a specific process? For example, if we are receiving a material from the vendor at our site for a specific manufacturing specific product, what can go wrong? We have to ask this question to ourselves, that what can go wrong with the simple process of receiving the material? Material can be damaged, material can have a wrong identity, we can receive a wrong material, it is not within the expiry, it is a different material than what we order. So this sort of questions, if we ask, then we start finding the answers for it, like how to prevent these issues. When we ask these questions and we start finding the answers, practically we are doing the risk assessment of that specific process. It's nothing rocket science, no criticality, nothing very much where we have to put lot of effort to perform a risk assessment process. You have to simply ask, in this simple process, if I miss something, what can go wrong? And those missing points practically we have to implement in our system. So to define risk assessment as a very simplest or I have to give a very simple definition of the risk assessment, is to take a process, check, debate, bring the people, bring the people from the cross functions department and debate this with specific process. What are the failure modes which you can think of? What are the problems? What are the scenarios where we can not have a process which is very smooth? What can go wrong with this process? This simple activity of asking questions and finding the answer to those questions is practically a risk assessment process. Why people are so feared of doing risk assessment process? Because there are huge talks about various tools and methods and documentation, so which practically induces fear, practically removes the very purpose or practically eliminates the very purpose of doing a proper risk assessment process. For me, risk assessment is very simple. As I explained, just go by your thinking, just go by your experiences, just go by your talks. Talk to the operator, talk to the person who are doing that activity, and simply ask the questions that in this activity, what do you feel, my dear, that what can go wrong? And if you are able to find out those answers, then practically this is your risk assessment. You can document it any way, any mean, whatever you call it, risk assessment protocol, risk assessment document, risk assessment report, but practically this is the thing. Once you complete this assessment process, you have to derive certain action items. In my next videos, I will tell about how to document this action item and how to implement it in your routine processes. Thank you very much for watching my full video, and if you like, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.